All right. So I don't have it shouldn't be a long call. I feel like I start every call by saying this shouldn't be a long call, but I don't really have a whole a big amount to say, but I have a lot of little things that I was going to talk about tonight. So I kind of got my list right here. And we'll go over everything really quick. But one thing I was going to talk about was coaching callouts, and John may not just shaking that. Coaching callouts, and basically, they did a live chat on our upline page on TNT, and actually it wasn't on that. It was on our Diamond group. And in the Diamond group, some of the concerns that the coaches were is they didn't feel like they could really post coaching call-outs because they didn't really feel like they were where other coaches were at. And so that was one thing that I wanted to kind of touch on, because I think, there's a lot of newer coaches on our team right now. But a lot of these newer coaches are constantly adding coaches to the team, and they're building their own team right now. And so I really wanted to kind of make a point that it doesn't matter where you are in your coaching journey. And for me, I'm almost been into coaching for 2 years, but I have consistently always posted about coaching from the start. Now, from the start, I wasn't as good about it. I was kind of more challenge group focused, and that's why I didn't see a lot of growth in my team for the first 6 months at all. For the first 4 months, it was just me, Chris, and my Diamond coach now, Jessica. It was just 3 of us for the longest time, and that was because my mind was just set to strictly challenge groups. And I really wasn't focused on the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is, of course, growing your team. She's okay. And, so I want everybody to go ahead and get that mindset now. I want you to be thinking about that belief now. So no matter where you're at in your journey, share with people why are you coaching? Is it for accountability? Is it because you're attracted to the community? Is it because you've got these amazing results and you want to share that with people? So you want to just be open about, why. What is your why? Why are you being a coach? And you want to also let people know that you have that belief in yourself, that belief that what you're doing is something you're passionate about and that you plan to continue going with it. And so that was one thing that Brooke kind of mentioned on when I first seen her call out for doing a coach training group. She was only 6 months into coaching, and she was like, I didn't know where I was going. And, I just knew that I wanted to make a success of this. And, at that time, I, wasn't a Diamond coach. I was just an Emerald coach. I only had, one person at that time working the business, and everybody else was discount coaches. But when I did my coach call out, she said she was very bold about it. And she was bold in the sense of saying that this is what I'm looking for. And so this is another thing I want you guys to post, and that I'm going to start working on better myself, is what I'm looking for when I'm looking for a coach. And so, one of the things that attracted me to her post when I did reach out to her was what she was specifically looking for. She finally got bold and said, this is what I'm looking for. I want a go-getter. I want somebody that is a big dreamer. I want somebody that's not full of excuses. I want somebody I don't have to hold their hand. Like, that is what she was openly really looking for. And to me, that had attracted me. Of course, I had been watching her for a while on social media already. But, one of the things she said is, I want to take this to the top. And I believed her. And I didn't know where she was in her journey. I didn't know she was only an Emerald coach. I didn't know what Emerald coach meant. I didn't know that, her team was full of discount coaches, and I was going to be really her first coach actively really working the business. I had no clue, because she didn't post that way, and she was very confident in her post, and that confidence came out. And so I was instantly attracted to that. And when we got to talking on the phone, she didn't know a lot about the business then, but she could tell me what she was doing and why she loved it. What she planned on the future being with it. And so, I think everybody kind of looks at me and her and they say, oh gosh, well, it's easy for them to recruit because, they're so far along in their business. But she, when she first recruited me, she was just an emerald coach with only one coach barely working the business, and everybody else was discounts. But she had a belief in herself, and she was confident, and she was confident in her posting, and she was confident when we talked to each other. So I want you guys to really focus on having that belief in yourself, and really focus on creating posts that attract the people you want to attract. So for me, when I think about my brand and who I am, I'm usually attracting a lot of people anymore that are just like me. I'm attracting a lot of moms, or a lot of people who want to lead their kids by example, or a lot of healthcare providers. So that's kind of my big audience, because that's what I post a lot about. So you got to think, what can I post to attract the people that I want? And then I think, guys, the biggest thing with having a belief in yourself is doing your personal development. And I know that so many coaches fight this, and they find that they want to, do something else with their time. And trust me, I totally get that, because when I first started coaching, I was really busy and made a lot of excuses not to do that. But I did a lot of, I started to do PD in the car and doing audio. And then I started listening to the National Wake Up Calls. And I tell you what, the National Wake Up Calls is the best personal development you can start with. Not only is it personal development, but it's offering you tips in your coaching that you can actually implement into your business to be more successful, because these are all successful coaches that have created successful teams, successful businesses, and they're giving us their information for free. So the National Wake Up Call, and I know you guys hear me say this, it posts every Monday. You could call in and listen to it live at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, or you can do the callback. The callback is on all week. Or like me, I like podcasts and I like listening in my car, so I listen on podcasts. So today's National Wake Up Call, I have not listened to. I'm always guilty. You probably won't ever find me listening to it on a Monday, but I do usually hit it somewhere through this week because I listen to it on podcast.
There's also a replay number as well. Like she posts a picture of the call. You can call anytime that week. So sometimes they don't get to upload the podcast right away. So like today it wasn't uploaded, but I already dialed in and listened to the recording.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the best. I mean, if you've got 30 minutes, to spend on PD, which you should be spending that a day, or close to it, that's the best really that you can start with for sure.
And my favorite book, and actually one that I want to listen to again, and I know Chris does or has, is The Magic of Thinking Big. I mean, it's like a book from 1980s, but the audio version of it is so good because they do role play and they tell stories. And
he's got a good voice. I buy a lot of audio books, and I'm like, falling asleep as I'm driving. But he does a really good job of explaining everything and keeping it interesting.
So if anybody's looking for a good PD, Magic Thinking Big, Compound Effect is a really great read. It's 140 pages. I'm a very slow reader, and I got through that book really quickly, obviously. And if you're a fast reader, most of you probably get through that in a day. But that one's a really good one. And actually on our team page in the album section, I have a whole album of PD books. So... Okay, so tomorrow night is the webinar. I want to talk a little bit about the coach callouts because tomorrow night is the webinar. It will be recorded if everything goes as intended. It will be recorded. So I had some coaches say, you know what, I have people that want to do it, but I can't get on the call myself. That is not a big deal. You don't have to be on the call, especially if you've listened to me talk about the coaching opportunity. Like, I don't know, what's it been, 3 times now? You don't have to get on there again. I would just make sure that, the person that is interested in coaching has the link to the call. So you want to make sure you give them the Zoom link. I posted that on the team page. And you want to make sure that they have a free account to Zoom. So just I'm going to actually message all of my people either tonight or tomorrow and remind them about the call, make sure they've set up their free account, and then send them that Zoom link. And then even after the webinar, I usually will follow up with them and I ask them, I like to keep it positive. So I say, what did you like best about the presentation? Do you feel like coaching could be for you? So, I'll send them that, and if they didn't get to see the webinar, I will message them and say, hey, I know you couldn't see the webinar because you had such and such going on. I did record it. Here's the recording. After you watch it, let me know, what did you like about the presentation as coaching for you? So you want to make sure you're always following up with people, that you're not just assuming they watched it, or that they've seen the information on the event page, or that they remembered it, because often they forget. Okay. And sometimes we're always getting a ton of notifications, and if you're at work and a notification pops up, you probably ignore it. So a lot of my notifications, like today for the event, I did it in the middle of the day. So a lot of people may not have caught it because they could have been at work. Dang, we're on mute. Sorry, guys. Can y'all hear us now? Is that better? Okay.
Was the whole call?
Thank you. No, not the whole call, just that part where we left everybody. Okay, sorry, guys. What I wanted to talk about really quick was, or what Chris is going to talk about, is momentum. So go ahead.
All right. So, momentum is huge in this business. It's really everything. That saying, my vibe attracts my tribe. That's very true. People, your team will follow, what you're doing. You're leading your team. The speed of the leader is the speed of the pack. I'm passionate about this because I learned it the hard way. With momentum, or with consistency, comes momentum. And when we started coaching, was about June, and coached pretty good all the way through September. This is me personally. And then about October came, and I kind of started slacking a little bit, a little less in November, a little less in December. And so all that consistency and work that I had put in those first few months, when I backed off, it really, really killed my business. And I, basically had to start over. So really staying consistent. And, when you think about people aren't watching you, they really are. Even if you feel like you're getting crickets out there, keep putting yourself out there, keep staying consistent. I cannot, preach the 3 vital behaviors enough, that if you're inviting, you're being a product of the product, and you're staying consistent with that, and you're staying consistent with your power hour, or whatever you have in place, your conversations, you're inviting, it's like a snowball effect. It's eventually going to catch up with you. The snowball starts small at the top of the mountain, just like the cartoon, and grows and grows and grows and grows. So at the bottom of the mountain, it's an avalanche. It takes off. And we see it with our business. We've heard others tell us this, but seeing it for yourself, you can't let it off. There's going to be days where you don't want to. You're going to have peaks and valleys with everything, with every personal business. Treat this business like you just dropped $25,000 to sign up for a business, and I guarantee you work it a little harder than
$15.95.
Than $15.95 a month. And you're not going to make several $1,000s in your first month. It's just not realistic. But keep that momentum and keep, staying consistent, and it will pay off. It's just, you're going to have, like I said, peaks and valleys, but it's about being here. They say be here in a year. Well, don't just be here in a year, but really give it a year of hard work. And it's going to take, another year of hard work and another year. But, 5 years are going to pass. And, if you keep this momentum and consistency up, in 5 years, you're going to be amazed at what's going to happen and, what you're going to be involved with.
And it's always like, and it goes hand in hand with even your fitness and how your challengers are. Because when coaches say, well, you know what, this is a really busy month for me, I'm going to take a step back. Not only is the momentum decreasing your business, but the momentum for your challengers is what stinks, is because they were doing so well. And then all of a sudden their coach backs off and says, okay, I'm going to take a step back because right now it's really busy for me. And, I just need to take a step away. And what happens is that you lose that following. You lose the trust of those challengers who relied on you to help them through their journey, because now your life is busy and you're taking a step back and they're left alone without that accountability that they were once getting when you were passionate and gung-ho about it. So, not only does it affect your business, but it affects those people that you're wanting to help. So momentum can go both ways. You don't, you sign up to coach because you want to help people, but you don't want to help them gain momentum. And then you say, well, I'm busy right now, I'm going to take a step back, because that does a lot of things for your challengers too. That causes them to fall off track because they relied on you for that accountability.
Long-term consistency trumps short-term intensity. So you can't, go 3 weeks and not post anything on your page, or not do any beach body, and then, one Saturday night hit it really hard and expect things to happen. It's not going to. You've got to consistent.
Well, that's why we say.
And that's the compound effect. And that book really changed my life and my perspective on everything in my life, including my own fitness and our business. So that's one book I would definitely recommend.
So I would say, your power hour, even if you only have an hour, but you're consistently doing an hour a day, you're going to hit success, because every day you're doing an hour. And was it the compound effect? I think maybe Magic Think of It. One of the PDs that we've read, they said you're better off doing an hour a day instead of turning around and working 3 hours one day and then taking 3 days off, and working 3 hours another day and taking 4 days off. You're better off just doing an hour each day than sitting there and taking days off and then working in bulk. So that's kind of the big thing about with momentum too.
And I wanted to read you all this quote. I was going to post it on the team page, but it came from Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich. But it says, before success comes in any man's life, he's sure to meet with much temporary defeat and perhaps some failures. When defeat overtakes a man, the easiest and most logical thing to do is quit. That's exactly what the majority of men do. So if you think about, being, and living a life of your dreams, and the opportunity that we have right now it's amazing. I see it. I see others having it, and I see what it does for other people, but that's not what the majority does. So if you want to be, in that upper echelon and have success, you have to just persevere through all the peaks and the valleys of what a business, throws your way. This is a business. Business is, ups and downs.
Yep. All right. So next thing I want to go ahead and talk about really quick is being pushy. I have been talking with a coach this week, and we kind of worked with talking to a challenger. She had talked to him first, a potential customer, I should say, and she had talked to him first, and then I had talked to him too. And, I shared the whole conversation that him and I had, so the coach can see what my process was. And she really liked being able to read over that, because she felt that she was going to go a whole different direction. She was going to invite him to the free group because she didn't want to be too pushy. So, and instead what ended up happening is he is going to be doing May's challenge group. He ended up getting a challenge pack for hammer and chisel with the performance line. So I want to talk about this, because if I wouldn't have stepped in on this particular person, because he had actually reached out to me too, because we have mutual friends. And if I wouldn't have stepped in, then what would have happened is he was somebody that was ready to do a challenge group and hit his goals, and he would have been stuck in doing a free group and then not knowing really what all we have to offer. So here's what I want to talk about with being pushy. So with talking to people, you always want to not automatically suggest the program you're doing. So when I first started, maybe I was only doing the 21-day fix. So if you're only doing one program, it's kind of stuck in your head, that's the program for everybody to do. But really, that may not be the program for everybody to do. So you really want to make sure you're asking questions. And the question that I want to ask people before I talk about a challenge group at all or a program is, what are your goals and what do you feel you struggle with the most? And then I want to listen and I want to hear them tell me what their goals are. So, their goals may be that they don't really want to lose any weight, but they want to tone up. Or, their goals may be that they want to lose 100 pounds. And, so that's what I want to know. I want to know where they want to go. And then I want to know with what they struggle with. Do they struggle with motivation? Do they struggle with workouts? Do they struggle with knowing what to eat? Their struggles helps me relate to what I'm going to tell them is going to be best for them. Because I know that any program in Beachbody that is connected with portion control, because I am passionate that portion control is what helps people get results, is going to give them the result that they need. But I first need to hear that struggle so I can make that connection. So if you're not asking those questions and you're automatically saying, oh, this is what I did, I bet it would work great for you, here's what it is. Sometimes that'll work, especially if it's people that trust you, like if it's your friends or your family member, then most likely, just blurting that out there is probably going to work because they already trust you. But for me, I'm talking to a lot of strangers anymore. My customer base is no longer people close to me or my warm market. They're all people I've never met before. So I need to make sure that they know that I'm listening, and I need to make sure what I'm recommending is what they need. So once they come back and they tell me what their struggles are and what their goals are, I reiterate that. And I say, okay, so this is your goal. It's kind of like your basics of, communication. Whenever you reiterate to let people know I'm listening. And so I say that again. I say, okay, so your goal is this, and you're telling me that you struggle with this. Well, if this is your struggle, and then I go on to say, if it's motivation, I say, well, I do online and health and fitness groups. And motivation is one of the key points that we focus on these groups because we're all on the same journey and we all need that extra and additional accountability. So I go into, what the group has to offer. If they tell me that their struggle is portion control or their struggle is not knowing what to eat, I say, well, my challenge groups actually focus on recipes that are really healthy but also taste good and that are family approved, because for us it's not just about weight loss, it's also about being healthy. So, we try to incorporate a lot of recipes into the group to help everybody with, knowing not only is something low calorie, because you need to know more than that, but it's actually healthy and clean and non-processed. And so I go into that. So that really gets them listening to what I have to offer as, wow, that could really work for me because, she just gave me a solution to my struggle. So once I'm able to offer a solution, because to me at that point, I'm not being pushy. I'm asking for their struggle, I'm listening, and I'm offering advice on a solution to their struggle, okay? So after I do that, I usually will send them, let me tell you a little more about my challenge group. And let me tell you about the structured nutritional plan that we use in this group. So I will send them my personal review of the 21-day fix. And what I tell them is all the new Beachbody programs follow this portion control plan, but it originally started with a 21-day fix. And so that way, my challenges are more than just the 21-day fix, but they all follow that same portion control. So I still go ahead and send them that video. After they watch that, usually I'll either wait for a response or I'll follow up and I'll say, hey, did you get to watch that video? And, do you feel like something like that would work for you? If so, do you want more information about how to join the group and what all you would be getting? So typically they say yes. And then once they say that, I say, okay, can I ask you, where do you feel like your fitness ability is at? Are you a beginner? What are you looking to accomplish? Do you enjoy cardio? Do you enjoy weightlifting more? So I want to know that, especially if you're talking to men, which this specific person that the coach and I was talking to last week was a man. And so I know with men, they generally like to weightlift more. And so that was one of the big questions I want to ask him is, do you like cardio or endurance training, or would you rather weightlift? What is your goal? And so when he told me his goal is to lean out and build mass, and that he really hates cardio and he really enjoys weightlifting, then there's no way that I should have ever recommended 22-minute hardcore for him or Insanity Max 30. Those are both totally cardio workouts, but hammer and chisel is perfect for weightlifting. And then when we got to talking, he started asking me about Shakeology, and he wasn't super interested in doing Shakeology because, he wasn't totally opposed to it, but as I got to talking to him, I found out that he was having muscle soreness, and that was causing him to not be able to work out as much. And he was also really tired because he worked long hours. Well, the performance line is Energize, which is a pre-workout, and you also get Recover with it. In the challenge packs, you get the performance line, you get the performance stack, which is Energize and Recover. So when he told me those things, I was listening, and I thought, you know what? He's not that interested in Shakeology, even though I feel like that would be really beneficial for him from his needs and what he's telling me. I feel like he would do better off with the performance line right now. So that's what I ended up suggesting, and he felt like that was perfect. And so as we got to talking, he said, I asked him, do you want to go ahead and get started with this now? Because I hadn't heard anything back from him. So I followed up. And when I followed up, I said, are you ready to move forward, or do you still want to think about this? And he jumped right back on the message. I'm ready to move forward. I want to do this now. I'm going to buy it tomorrow. So that's where our conversation went. And it took us about 3 or 4 days of going back and forth. This did not happen in one conversation. So when coaches get discouraged because they send one message back to somebody giving them information and they hear nothing, that's your first problem. You've sent one message to them with all the information of the program that you thought they wanted to do, and you hear nothing because you didn't listen to them. And that's, where communication skills come in. And you got to think of this person as your spouse. If you're not communicating with your spouse and you're just telling him this is what you need to do, then he's not going to be very responsive. And that's the same thing with your challengers, with your customers. If you're not listening to them and what their needs are, then they're not going to be very responsive to you. And that's when you become pushy, and that's when you become a salesperson. So I want to make sure, that you guys are asking questions and you're listening, because we sign up to be a coaches because we want to help. So the only way you can help people is by listening to people and not just thinking that whatever you did and worked for you is going to work for them, because you don't know that. So as me and the other coach got to talking about this guy, that was what she said, is she felt like she was going to be pushy. And so her being able to read our conversation really helped. And, she was telling me her initial thoughts was I was going to ask him to the free group, and I didn't realize he was ready to get started right now. So again, that was not asking the question of, are you ready to get started with something right now? I can help you. Because otherwise, she just assumed she didn't want to be pushy. She didn't want to ask him to buy something. So she was going to offer the free group right away. But he was ready to go. He just needed somebody to listen to him and answer his questions. Okay. All right. So that's my thing about being pushy. All right. Really quick, a few other things I'm going to just kind of wrap up with. I don't have much. Is coaches that are signed up for the summit waiting list. I do believe what I heard from Michael Neiman is that, which is, who is Michael Neiman? Director of Sales, corporate, had said that I think everybody who signed up on the waiting list is supposed to be getting off of it. So that is at least what I've heard. They've released a lot of coaches that signed up around the December time, and they're slowly releasing more coaches. So know if you're on the waiting list for Summit, there is still hope. And then I wanted to also mention that if you guys have questions, and I don't see this happening very much with my really active coaches or my coaches that have been coaches for a while, but from newer coaches or coaches that are kind of here and there, asking a lot of questions, make sure that you're going to your Coach Online office. The very bottom, once you're in your Coach Online office, there's an FAQ. Click that, type in a search of whatever you're looking for. Also, all new coaches should have the new Coach Help Guide downloaded to their computer. All the information is there of how to do a Coach Online chat, how to do a coach switch, how much products cost, how much challenge packs cost, how much commission you get, my process of what I do when I'm talking to people about a challenge group, and how to sign up a customer. All of that information is in the new Coach Help Guide. So make sure that you're looking at that first before contacting your sponsor with a question. Unless you're out and about and you need an answer right then and there, you don't have that around you. I get that. And then also for coaches that are signing up other coaches and you're beginning to grow your team, and Jennifer Mullis, this is something I probably need to send to you. I have a sponsor's guide to getting coaches started right. So this is a guide of what you need to be doing to make sure that your coaches are getting onboarded onto the team and onto coaching right from the start. So if you're starting to sign up coaches and you're starting to actively come into a leadership position, make sure you're contacting me so I can send that to you. And then 22-minute hardcore, I thought it was $160, but I think it's $140 is the challenge pack price all the time. I thought it was last month's promo at $140, but when I looked in the FAQs, 22-minute hardcore is always $140 from what I could tell. So just FYI, guys, that's exciting. And then I think next week's call, I'm going to do it on social media. I've done it on social media before, but it's been maybe 6 months ago, so I think it'd be good to touch base on that again. So I think it'd be a really good call to help you guys with tips on social media.
And things change in social media too, so algorithms and everything. So it's always good to stay up on it.
Yeah. And then I just wanted to end the call really quick with a podcast that, sorry, how to share? I'm not sure how you make sure if you're on the list, but I would go to the FAQ and type in Summit Waitlist and just go ahead and register yourself again. And it may say you're already on there, or I'm not really sure how to check it. And you can ask the team page, because I didn't get on the waiting list last year or this year. I bought my ticket this year, and last year I earned it. So I don't really know what the process is on the waiting list. So you may ask the team page or go to the FAQs. I'm not sure if it shows you your position of where you're signed up at or not. And then the last thing I was going to tell you guys is there's a podcast that I need to sit down and listen to better. Chris has actually listened to the whole thing and shared with me from Chalene Johnson, who is the PIO instructor, but she's really a huge social media guru.
She has 2 podcasts. She has Build Your Tribe, which she really gets Beachbody. I mean, that's kind of, she sold one company to Beachbody, and that's kind of helps you with your business. And then this one is on her regular podcast, just the Chalene Show, but it talks about.
I'm gonna post the picture into the page, but before he gets into what it talks about, is I want to make sure I have a lot of coaches that ask me about plateaus that they personally have with their fitness, but I have a lot of challengers that ask me with plateaus. And so the cool thing is that she's talking about fitness plateaus. And Chris, I'm gonna have him go ahead and share with you, but I just want to make a point that this will help you better with coaching, and it'll also help you with your own fitness. But I have a lot of challengers ask me about plateaus, and I'm kind of lost on that part.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into the details of the call, but, this is probably your second PD. I mean, it's free, and she gets on there a couple times a week, and some calls are 15 minutes, some calls are 30, and I go back and forth and listen to all her podcasts. And I'm a lifer. She really gets what we do as Beachbody coaches. And then when I heard this one today, I mean, just so many aha moments of just talking about plateaus and, even my personal experience. I mean,
And it's plateaus, not with business wise. It's plateaus with your fitness and not getting results. So if you have challengers that like all of a sudden they lost 40 pounds and then for like 4 weeks or, you know, whatever, they've lost 0 pounds, she talks about what could be going on.
So many good tips in just this 30 minutes, you know, just different because everybody's body is different, you know, and just so many different things that you can try, you know, to kind of get over that plateau, because plateaus are real, you know, but it's such a good podcast for sure.
Yeah. Well, and it's one that even I think of a particular challenger, which is Chris's Aunt Mary, and she's hit a couple of plateaus. She's lost over 100 pounds, and she still has a little bit more she wants to lose, and she's hit a couple of plateaus. And I'm going to message her tonight and tell her to listen to this call because it offers so many great tips for people that are hitting plateaus in their fitness and what they could be doing a little bit different. But the big thing of the call that I got from listening just a little bit I did is that it's really about switching up what you're doing. So, you know, and this is huge with your challengers because sometimes they get stuck on one program and they always want to do the fitness workouts for that one program. And then they message you and they say, well, I'm still doing the 21-day fix and I'm still following my portions and I haven't lost any more weight. What's going on? And for me, I'm always like, well, I don't know. And, you know, are you doing this? Are you doing that? Are you doing that? And I really don't feel like I could give them that helpful of an answer. But now, after listening to her call, I feel like I am more educated and can actually offer them better tips because Chalene's were, you know, her tips were so good, things I didn't even think about or know myself. Mm-hmm. So I'll post the call on there. I'll post an image of it. But it's on podcast, and anybody who has an iPhone, you should have a podcast app automatically on your phone. I didn't leave much room, but did anybody have questions? And if you want, I can get on the team page and do a live video really quick. If you guys do have any other questions, you can think of anything, or you can message me. Everybody good? All right. Well, thanks for coming on the team call.
Yes, definitely.
Hopefully that was helpful. And if you have any coaches that didn't make it, then I'm going to post the recording tomorrow. Okay.
Appreciate y'all getting on.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
Bye.